Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Eye on Icon, where we go around the ecosystem and give you the latest weekly news. And with me, as always, on this lazy Wednesday is David. How are you, man?
Good afternoon, Fez. I'm doing great. The world's on fire, and I'm
Oh,
just relaxing, watching everything turn dark, dark red. It's like the Game of Thrones, the Red Wedding, all over
oh
again.
my God. Oh, yes, it's actually Thursday for us, but a lot of the listeners will be probably listening to it Wednesday night. But David, what I was going for was there's a famous episode in Simpsons, where Homer's like, I love these lazy Saturdays. And Marge is like, Homer, it's Wednesday. He's like, gonna be late for work. And he runs off. It was like one of those moments, but we can't clown around. It is literally doom and gloom out there. It is,
It's the worst. It's the worst ever. It has gone from bad to worse to even worse, and the sheer amount of fallout and like it's just you know what? It never stopped. Like when Luna collapsed and the 3AC investment fund, they were insolvent. Like it's still going. This is all fallout. It's terrible.
look, completely. And what we're going to do today? We're going to quickly cover the Icon news a little bit later, but let's spend a bit of time talking about what's happened because this kind of impacts Icon. But you can see this because here you go. Like we're down to 15 cents. Oh well, actually, I hope people didn't get liquidated. This was a sharp drop. I actually had some collateral on the line, David. I was being a bit degen, and I fortunately survived. And for all our listeners, I'm showing the charts, and at the moment we seem to have bounced off a low. Well, we hit a low off on the 4 hourly of 14 cents basically, and now we've come up to 15. And what I've penciled in, these blue lines are daily lines. Apologies all. So if I switch to daily, yeah, we're bang on. This was like a last support point I found from the past, but yeah, so we're down to 50. We're hovering around 16 cents. Did you think we'd come back this low, David?
Never, never. I thought we'd never see Icon underneath a dollar again. Up to 8 months ago, but the same for all the other stuff. So, and you know what? Like people say this. People say crypto is volatile. People say it's common in a bear market to retrace 80%. But just when you calculate those numbers, you're like, yeah, nah, that not in my lifetime. Like that's not going to happen. And it's really happening. And it's so interesting to see if you look at coin market cap, all the tokens have the exact same chart. But then there's the tokens that are in any single way connected to the FTX exchange or Alameda Research, the company tightly linked, and the insolvent company tightly linked to FTX. All those tokens have just gone a bit extra worse. I'm talking Solana,
Oh,
but I'm also talking, yeah,
here's Solana.
Uniswap, Sushi Swap, and it's unfair because these are DeFi projects that essentially are, they originated to battle this type of like disregard of funds, like on-chain transparency. But the problem being that FTX or Alameda Research, one of the two, has a lot of the Sushi and the Uni tokens on their balance sheets, and
Oh, okay.
everyone realizes that that's all going to have to be dumped on the market because of them being insolvent. They have to claw back any money they can get. So all those tokens that are on their balance sheets are taking an extra hit. I don't think Alameda or FTX was holding Icon, so we don't take that extra hit. Thank God.
The perks of people, not hitting mainstream yet. Whew. Uh, so look, and let's dive into that. But just quickly while we're on the market, so even looking at the top dogs like BTC, what did we have? Oof, BTC fell. Ignore this blue line. Let's get rid of this blue line. What we hit a low of 15,800. Wow. And we're seeing a bounce. I'm not convinced though. I don't know. I am not convinced of this bounce because every time we've talked about this, the next day it goes the opposite way, David. So fingers crossed that we have that effect again. But look, yeah, overall, just terrible day in the markets, and Here is a fantastic thread written by this guy. He apparently, David, you were telling me he put out a tweet a couple months ago claiming that FTX and stuff were insolvent, right?
Indeed, he actually kind of brags about it in the beginning of his thread here, where he says, "Yo, I saw this coming," and I clicked his "I saw this coming" thread, and it was actually like a 10-part or 14-part thread on literally 2 months ago of him pointing out everything that wasn't really feeling or looking great with FTX, board members leaving, products launching, other products not launching. Everything was just kind of missing the ball. In the meanwhile, they're naming arenas and doing all sorts of stuff, and then he's showing up in US politics all of a sudden, trying to steer regulation or whatever. And for this guy, it was reason to say, yeah, something's off, which, kudos to him for keeping an eye on all that and also being able to draw those conclusions. So yeah, he refers to that, and then he goes on to explain what happens here. And for the listeners, this is the Twitter account is IshanB22, and the guy has a 34-piece thread on what's going down with the FTX collapse, what's going on in terms of speculation and rumors, and then lastly, the contagion. So like which other parties, like I just mentioned, Uniswap tokens, but there's other blockchain projects that will be hurt by this in ways that you didn't really think were possible before. For example, there's rumor of projects having their treasuries on FTX, so you can have like an amazing new blockchain plan with an amazing team and everything's great, and then one day you wake up and all your funding's gone because it was at that it was there.
Well,
most of it was there.
David, I saw a tweet. El Salvador apparently had their funds on FTX. I mean, I don't know how real this is, but the BTC. But there was someone going, "Yep, the one man who took down a nation." Well, we laugh, but it's terrible.
That can't be true.
It can't be. You're right.
It can't be.
So yeah, no, David, can you go through it? I guess one of the biggest call-outs is, if you didn't know this and this is your first time listening since, the other shenanigans where CZ was going to step in and save the day, but it's not the case. The Binance deal is dead, apparently, David. Now, how quickly? They obviously got a quick look at the books and went, fuck it, we're out. Like, there's no other words to say this. Like, that's it, they're done. And, then... What else? What are some key call-outs? Like, you can already see things aren't going well. He's shown that the websites aren't loading, and oh my god, withdrawals are locked, so people can't get their funds out. Apparently, I heard FTX US you can still. People were processing withdrawals.
Yeah, so the US market has these tighter and stricter regulations, which is why platforms have US versions of their platforms. There's a Binance US, there's an FTX US, and they are basically decoupled from the, let's call it the international version of the same exchange because of regulation. And that's the reason why the international version of FTX has done what it's done and why it's going the way it's going. But the US version is essentially healthy. They're looking to sell it because they need their money. Apparently, Kraken has expressed interest, and Gemini may have expressed interest in buying the US version of FTX, but not the international version. So everywhere else, you're not going to be able to take your money out. And it seems that after the Luna collapse and the 3 Arrows Capital fallout, how there's bad debt in the industry everywhere, and projects were quick to rush out and say everything's fine, we have no exposure or whatever.
Yeah, because crypto doesn't have bad debt.
No such thing. And now it turns out that the on-chain sleuths, they've been searching for what's been happening left and right, going into these records, and the graph that you pull up right now shows this amazing bounce in the FTT token supply, some trickery with having it locked or unlocked, or vesting. Anyways, what they were doing is they were using their own token to prop up their collateral, basically. So on the one side of the balance sheet, you have what you own. On the other side, you have what you owe. And what they owe is a shit ton of real dollars. And on the other side, what they own is a shit ton of their own token, which is useless. So once people started realizing that this was the case for them, they started selling off the token. Price came down, and it just got exposed. I wonder the gap. They say 6 billion, 8 billion. Others are saying more and more is becoming apparent, and it's even bigger. And what about all those companies and projects? They're all diving into their books to see, damn, do we have any exposure here? Like, are we in some way connected? Because everything's interlinked with these types of investment firms, right?
Oh, yeah. Look, I think it's super interesting. Like, this graph was, it's like, why didn't people go investigating earlier? We always say this after the accident, but I found this interesting because, we had quite a lot of things happen early on with people leaving FTX, and then this guy summarized that it is likely because of what happened with the Q2 losses, 3AC and Luna. Like, they weren't that everything wasn't fine after that. So it goes to show this guy who was meant to be this, he was portraying himself, Sam Freeman. Is it
Bankman Fried?
Bankman Fried, but Sam's his nickname, right? Sam,
yeah, or his first name, however you want to call it.
Sam, I'll call him Sammy Boy. So Sammy Boy over here is there gallivanting everything like he's a savior, and he's trying to save, Celsius. He was trying to save everyone, but at that very time where he was portraying this role, which he's actually portrayed in his entire stint, this was happening in the background. It's unbelievable. Like, it is super shocking. Then I found the next point. So Solana, like, I've had this question asked to me, what about Solana? And in my head I was thinking, but this is a blockchain, like, it's fine, like, but then I realized that, probably FTX has a huge stash, given it's,
they were buying up everything at like $3.80. Remember the famous tweet where he says, "Sell me all your Solana, I'll buy all your Solana."
Yeah. And this is what he's doing it to save the day now. So there could be a bit of world of pain there. Like, I've seen contradicting reports here around Solana, like, but I've seen Solana come out, the chain, and put up this massive thread about their big dev ecosystem, etc., etc. Now, I don't think the chain will die. I mean, like, the chain seems to be running and etc. I think we're already seeing its price get impacted, and it probably won't stop for a little while. But I don't know. It seems like what is it? The oracles and stuff are being paused, so a lot of the DeFi stuff isn't working as planned because the mass liquidations going to happen. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. It is crazy, and I doubt that projects like Solana will die just like Luna died, or like the FTT token is most likely to die. I doubt these projects will die. Maybe they might prove to be, if you get in at exactly the right spot, they might be proving to be the buy of the lifetime. But they're definitely getting the brunt of it right now. Like these connected, linked to FTX projects are getting hit the hardest.
Yeah.
So if your name of your project pops up anywhere in these like leaks and these balance sheets and whatnot, you can tell that the token is just going to do an extra red 10%.
Yeah, look, the legal teams abandoned ship. There's an $8 billion, apparently, $8 billion hole in the balance sheet. I mean, how does one get that far and think, it's fine, guys, everything's fine, it's about to turn around? No, it doesn't happen.
And what about like the multi-year $1 million sponsorships that they've got going left, right, and center? Like, I watch Formula One, and they're on the Mercedes team car, they're on the suit, they're on the helmet, like FTX is all over that car. And I wonder what's going to happen. Like, surely they didn't pay. Oh, there it is. Actually, you're looking at it right now. It's number 13 on your screen.
Yeah.
So that's a big list of all these, of the contagion, essentially. So who's exposed to this, who may have a problem. And on number 13, right above Giselle and Tom Brady, we find the Mercedes Formula One team. So this is not going away shortly. This is just
I see what
Q2. It never stopped, I think, is my conclusion. It never, once Luna started collapsing, that fallout, it just hasn't stopped yet. Like that might go on for a
Well,
while.
David, I heard a rumor as well just moments ago that USDT is depegging. Now this happened last FUD cycle as well in terms of the last crash and where everything Luna was dying. Then
Tether stable.
yeah, they're stable. So I don't know if this is true, but I was expecting this to happen at some point, given what's going on at the moment. But
Yeah, I did read that the USDN, the neutrino stable token, which is I think by Waves, unsure about that. I think that was depegging as well. I think reports, everyone's like Hawkeye now on these stables and this
Yeah.
entire infrastructure because the whole ecosystem, you know. But what would happen if everything, Fez, everything comes crashing down? We'd rebuild it, right?
I hope. Yes, of course. Look, at the end of the day, even the last crash, you know what didn't break? Like your original DeFi 1 protocols, your lending protocols like Aave and things like that. What was the other? Even your MakerDAO, those at its core, they all functioned as designed. In fact, during those processes like Celsius, it's the reason it crashed and burned from many other reasons. It took all the funds and then went to Maker and borrowed against it and Aave and other protocols. And then when it was all coming crashing down, they couldn't care about anyone else. It doesn't matter if lawyers were knocking, nothing like that. The smart contract is programmed to do this very thing at this price. It will liquidate you. There's no way around it. You can't go behind the door and go, hey buddy, to the smart contract and try and wheel and deal.
Yeah.
No. So their priority was trying to get that as low as possible so that they didn't get liquidated. So no, I if it all were to crash, I think there'll still be those fundamental applications, and that infrastructure will still be there operating through the crash and just keep running post that. Now, what it means for us, yes, David.
Yeah, I was just going to say, add to that, less inflated, because it's the leverage mechanisms that inflate. Money creates money, and then that kind of goes exponentially up. And when it comes crashing down, it comes crashing down the way it is. But if the fundament is there, you could start again, is my thought. But, this is a very opportunistic take on something that is going to hurt for a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
How about that?
Yeah.
Shall we drop it?
Yeah. Should we? Oh God.
Should we go to
some underwater now? Oh God. Everything's no. This is too much doom and gloom. Let's turn to some happier
real
times.
News. Yeah.
Real news. There we go. Oh, fresh off the block. Real news. 16-Bit Fight Club Season 2. Yes, full disclosure, part of this project. So, but it's been a while, and it looked like bear markets times, and nothing was happening. But in the background, a few things were happening. Now, this is an actual GIF, and it's not loading properly because it's a screenshot. But essentially, Season 2 is about to kick off, and the pre-activities are happening. And if you aren't in the Discord, get in there, join the Discord. Hello Chocobo's got an announcement video and a few other things. And one of the first things that is kicking off is if you were part of the first season, at the end of it, everyone in the community who did different things got awarded these retro consoles because, the project's around 16-Bit Fight Club with the 16-bit characters, etc. So they got these consoles dedicated to that era, and each of these consoles have different perks. You didn't have to buy it or anything, you just got it for being part of the community and playing different roles. So first, what those perks were, no one knew, and they're slowly getting revealed. But if you are a console holder of a certain type, this is the announcement. There's 100 ICX to be won. You can actually put in the name and a bit of a backstory of the name of the character that you're trying to name, which is this guy. He looks a lot like people will know it if you see him, this guy here, and you think, oh, he looks like, yeah, you're right. It is meant to be a bit of a parody in terms of looking like certain characters of that era. But Yeah, so get in there, take part in the competition. If your name gets picked, you get it. It is your name to the character, the story, a little bit of the blurb around it, and also you win 100 ICX, which I do realize at this point isn't a lot, but
Yeah, but when the crypto archaeologists are listening to this podcast in 2097, they'll be like, "Wow." Hey, I got a question about this. These
yes.
characters, are they like original characters, or are they the characters? Because I'm not home, like 16-bit fighting and all that is slightly before my time. I was more of a FIFA 98 and V Rally on the PS1.
Yep.
But so these characters, are they intellectual property from real games, or are these
No.
all created?
These are all created from scratch.
Right.
However, there's certain look a lot. There's a bit of playfulness in there as well, right?
Yeah.
So they're a throwback homage to that era, but they're all new characters, their own style. It's not copied. There's 100%. It's not just taking an existing character and recreated it in an NFT form or anything like that. So that's yes. Anything else, Dave?
No, that was a question. Oh yeah, I was also wondering if I if I pick the name Penis Face for my character, do you reserve the right to politically reject that?
You know what? I don't know, but yeah, ooh, that's a good name now that I think about it.
It's actually in the announcement, Fez. I'm just reading it in one of the bottom lines right above. Yeah.
I haven't. Oh god. Yes, there we go. This shows how much I've been keeping it paying attention to it. As such,
So the answer is yes.
yes, we do. There you go. Well done, David. Well done. But look, super excited about this. I know Hello Chocobo has been doing a ton of work around the streaming events and stuff like that to get people engaged, especially during bear markets. I'm going to be there in all the events this time as well. I'm going to have some fun. And yeah, get in there, join, take part. So this season is 16 of the male characters, because season 1 was female, so it'll all be around the male characters. And then season 3 will be the next step. So enough on that. Next up, I don't know if you noticed, a tweet went out for Blobble World. And
we had a long time sleeper here on our hands, and seems like it woke up. Blobble World, a CPS funded project, an NFT project set to launch on Snow blockchain.
Yep. And if you thought it wasn't, or it had disappeared, it hadn't. It needed the chain to launch. Now that the chain is launched, it's in the final phases. Here you can see a bit of a revamped site. Actually, let's just refresh it, and oh yeah, very sleek with the effects, but it's not published yet already, so I am not going to scroll any further. But overall, this is going to be a cool little NFT game in the browser. We're working, if you didn't know, Iron Icon has a node and this wonderful feature where you can connect your wallet. I don't know what happened there. And once you connect your wallet, it tells you if you've voted for dead nodes or nodes that aren't doing anything, and you can reallocate those nodes to Iron Icon, those votes to Iron Icon. And the guy who did it for us was Paul, which is also who is building Blobble. So it turns out David has lent his expertise in website building, and I have gotten in there with some tokenomics information. I get very passionate about it, but super excited around intertwining the tokenomics in different ways and unique ways. So, and I'll stop there because, again, as David, the wise one, has warned me, until it's all like tested and it's deliverable, we are not to announce such super awesome features. I'll stop. David, stop giving me the eye, David. Stop it. No, I'm sorry. Okay, let's move on.
It's brilliant. It's a sneak peek. Let's move on.
Let's move on. Just one bit of alpha. No, okay, David. No, let's move on. Craft. So, Craft just released their update. Okay, so it's great to see. They have been progressively updating lots of little features on the site. What I did like, it was good to see this. Based on this paragraph, basically it's saying that they're going to kickstart their BTP using BTP Xcall, which is the V2. So V2 of BTP, which from the reports, dev reports, is being worked on. What's Scott and Co, where Scott sits and works with Icon Loop and stuff like that. And it looks like that work is wrapping up, where it can get into the integration phase. And part of that, you would have seen a CPS proposal, which they have, it got approved. They are allocating resources to get a jump start to build that feature out and implement it in Craft, which enables them to be interoperable with NFTs. So this is not using Icon Bridge, to be very clear, and it's good to see they seem to be targeting Q2 for go live, which is, then you've got to read between the lines, implying that that's when we're looking at that tech basically to be out and adopted. So interesting. And then, David, what else did you take away?
The website loading speed has been improved, and that was my key takeaway from this announcement, because it has a little Formula One car, and it brought my mind back to FTX sponsoring the Mercedes team. And then I was thinking about that again. Oh boy, I shouldn't though. My key takeaways is definitely the BTP aspect, where they propagate the Xcall service. This is in the latest YouTube video by the foundation or by the Icon Network YouTube channel. Scott talks about this Xcall service, the arbitrary call service, and to put it short, when people think blockchain interoperability, they talk about moving tokens from one chain to another, and BTP's Xcall enables transferring data or messages from one chain to another. And in a data or in a message or in data, you can put everything and anything, not just a token data, but you could put entire smart contracts inside data and move them across. Now, BTP being targeted to become chain agnostic would imply that any and every blockchain that supports smart contracts would then be able to use the Xcall service to transfer data in between these blockchains, and that's an exciting thing. And I think the first use case, like the tangible use case that we can all understand and kind of connect with when we talk about transferring data as opposed to tokens, would be NFTs, right? So it's no surprise to see that Craft is on the money here. And to be fair, it is Craft's pitch, interoperability in the NFT landing space. That's why some people are hardcore Craft as well, because they see this as a big move.
Just a correction there, David. So you won't be able to send entire smart contracts in the messaging. The messaging infrastructure will work you can send any specific task the way you want as a protocol. Yeah, that's a super generalized, but that's essentially it. So the Xcall service allows, Balance, for example, Balance could deploy some logic they need on one side on Binance Smart Chain, and then through this Xcall service, a user will go in and go, hey, I want to borrow a mint BNUSD with BTC. They click one button, and the Xcall will then send a message onto that logic, lock the user's BTC on Binance Smart Chain. The user doesn't see all this, it just happens with a click, but this is kind of what the messaging is doing, sending it, the message comes back, and it's verified, yep, and all of a sudden the user has minted BNUSD. So that's a specific task, but you can start to see how protocols like Ohm, Balance, or all the ones we have, can start creating their own use cases. What their protocols actually do natively on Icon, they can now facilitate all of this without the user having to wrap, transfer, add, etc. It can make it more seamless. So So
would it be fair to say that you're not sending up and down, you're not sending smart contracts up and down, but you're basically facilitating smart contract interactions up and down?
Yes, because your message, your message, the message from one side is being sent to the other to do, and it can be as simple, to your point, yes, or as complicated. So it could do 3 steps on there via that message, and then come back a certain way. So obviously, everything, there's a level of complication that comes with it the more you try to do. But yeah, overall, this is what I know. They're all excited. Apparently, the entire industry will move to this kind of transfers. I think it's safer, but underlying it doesn't just remove the risk entirely. There always will be risks, but let's see. It will be good to get that formal that the tech is ready for adoption, etc.
Yeah, and to get use cases built on it.
Yes, exactly.
Once it's there. Yeah. So let's move on to Balance, because they're one of the main players in this as well. They're one of the main dApps in the Icon ecosystem, and they've just launched their update for November, and they actually mentioned that they're working on a interface or a UI for transferring tokens with the Icon Bridge technology. In other words, they're building a use case on Icon interoperability as well. It's something that, this is the next step, right?
Yeah. Where did it say that? I didn't kind of see that.
So yeah, you're right now. So I read the tweet in which they kind of summarized their update.
Okay. Yep.
So I read the key pointers on the update, and now you're in the real update, and I think it's all the way at the top, actually, somewhere around the Icon Bridge UI improvements, and it may well have been their goals for next month, right? When I read the updates, I'm always curious to scroll down and see, okay, what's next? I'm impatient like that as well.
Yeah, there we go. UI, the grant was approved, which would simplify future integration. So, okay, interesting. So, look, I think overall that was a great call out. You can see that the implementation will be boosted. Balance went ahead of schedule and far better than they hoped. There is one call out though, David. If you're listening right now and you haven't gone and checked out Balance yet, and you did have some Balance staked, go and at least unstake it and then decide what you want to do, how long you want to lock it for, because the current state, if you haven't unstaked it since the update, you're not earning fees, you're not earning anything. So get in there and make the tough calls. And, if you want to be a DJ like me and David, do it. Lock it for 4 years, but not financial advice,
Definitely not.
Yes.
Very interesting point. If you look at the third, underneath their front-end, back-end summary, actually, no. Underneath their smart contract summary, their third bullet point, they began creating and testing the environment for the BTP Xcall service. So that's literally what we just talked about on the craft NFT side of things. Balanced is also working towards exploring the implementation of sending messages cross-chain for whatever next level use case they're going to pursue there. So that's a good takeaway. I think it's good that these dApps are preparing to enable these use cases once the technology is there. Sometime in the future, it will get released, but you need dApps to then open up the doors, swing open the doors and say, well, come and use it, Where Craft, come and use it. Where Balance, come and use it. If no one does that, then Icon is sitting in the corner with the newly technology and it's like, yeah, we've got this. And now what?
And this is the thing. So when it's released, then people need to build. And it's good to see that obviously there's a bit more information flowing through off the build in its final stages. So the teams that would adopt it can start, they're previewing it and building out in their applications, and that's what this is. So
and then I think you're going to be very happy with the next tweet, if you want to pull up Scott's tweet, Rebalancing. This is Fez's is your favorite feature in the entire world of crypto, isn't it?
I love it. I love when my stack just vaporizes, and then I hate it. I hate that, but then when it magically appears, I love it. But then I just hate it. I just the very nature of it, and people know. Like, if you're a first-time listener, no, I'm not bagging the protocol. I love Balanced, and a big fan of what Scott's doing. So, and he knows how much I hated rebalancing. I've had many a conversation with him, but no, we have to lose this feature. So for him to drop a tweet that saying, "I think it's time to get rid of it once and for all." It was a
Yeah,
good
and
day.
if you're unclear about rebalancing or what it is, so on the balanced platform, you can deposit icon tokens as collateral, and you can borrow a BNUSD stablecoin against that. But in traditional platforms, your collateral remains in place and it doesn't get touched by anyone or anything. But in the balance protocol, there is a mechanism called rebalancing where collateral of people who've deposited collateral is actually used to keep the BNUSD peg at $1, and it's a nifty mechanism that kind of on chain keeps the peg for BNUSD, but as a result, people would see their collateral amount, their hard-earned ICX that they kind of placed there, either come down or grow. And even though these shifts in movements were often favorable in terms of how much you were actually paying when your stash grew or you were selling at a premium if it dropped down, the sheer idea that your collateral gets touched by a mechanism that you have no control over is something that was just generally disliked by a lot of people. Fez included. And then there was a couple of events, like a Black Swan event, I think around the Luna collapse or whatever, when the peg came under so much pressure that the rebalancing mechanism actually spun out of control a bit, and it became a bit of a shit show. I'd say people who were never close to getting liquidated now got really close, or they even got liquidated without them realizing it, and they weren't able to get their collateral out because they it grew that much, or the other way around. Like, I'm not entirely sure about the details. I just remember reading a lot of hassle and a lot of struggle and complaints. At the time, I was happy that because of this, I was happy that at the time I didn't have any collateral posted up and borrowed against that, because it's to date people are referencing that when they're being angry and annoyed on Twitter. They're saying that liquidation wave on balanced due to the rebalancing mechanism. Some say spinning out of control. Others say working exactly as intended. But it's just not something that makes people happy. And you're frothing at the mouth, Fez.
Yeah. Look, I mean, since then the stability fund got introduced, and that's why you probably noticed he's talking about getting rid of it, but it hasn't. Rebalancing just hasn't happened. I don't know if in this crash if much happened, but overall, when the stability mechanism got put in place, people were able to arb the peg with other stables, and it made it far simpler, and the rebalancing mechanism didn't need to kick in. But overall, he has proposed something written up in great detail. I would love to break this down with David, but I also haven't fully understood. Like, it makes sense, but in a way, when I'm reading it, I'm just reading another rebalancing version. So I was telling David that but I know when if we get Scott on to talk about it, he'll articulate it brilliantly with his examples and walk us through it, and we'll be like, as he's walking us through it, we'll be buying more balanced on the side, going yes. No, not financial advice, but it's good. What I like is, like, this feature wasn't something like, even when I was like, gotta get rid of it, one thing I understood though was it was the core part of the protocol. This is essentially how the protocol maintained the stablecoin's peg. So with the stability fund coming in play and kind of resolving a lot of that, then it's obviously given Scott a lot of time to think, how can they further remove this aspect altogether, especially with the cross-chain play coming into focus now for us to further expand and gain reach for the protocols and for Icon in general. But yeah, definitely check it out. Let's what we do need to do, David? We need to make sure that everyone knows we're sponsored by the monks, and today is that day where we give away. What are we giving away today?
We're giving away NFTs, but they're not ours. They're the monks' NFTs.
Oh, yes, because they sponsor the show. See, that's why we're giving away their NFTs. And what NFTs are these exactly?
Icon ecosystem NFTs, like Yetis, Wonder Game, Project Nebula, Claw, Monk's collaborations with ping pongs, peel guys, crazy cats, the whole shebang.
Yep. Okay, so let's do it. I'm going to spin the wheel. We've got a list of people. Why have they ended up on the wheel, David? Give me a 10-second version.
If you interact or contribute to the Ohm Finance Protocol on Discord or Twitter, you will get selected to get your name on the wheel. The way it works is you get a preliminary NFT by the monks, and that gets your name on the wheel. And then we spin the wheel, and then you get an even better NFT if you're lucky. And if your name is Crypto Jason, then you are a lucky guy.
You are lucky. Oh my god. Let's see what you've won. Okay, quickly. Oh, there's so many. There's Yetis. There's oh god, I should think of other. Oh yeah, it looks like, well, you won a Yeti. Yes.
You did?
Yes, Yeti 1701. And I don't know what rarity is it. Could it be a cloud? Could it be? Don't know. But that's the Yeti you've won. Congratulations, man.
Congratulations, Crypto Jason.
And thank you again, Monks, for sponsoring the show. Let's move on. They are a good crew. What have we got next?
We were going to look at the news coming from Icon CPS.
What is
so
it? Break it down.
Decentralized grants on Icon, right? You have an idea, you want to build on Icon, you can put in a proposal, you can request hard dollar cash, and Icon validators who secure, protect, and care for the network will vote whether that project comes through or not. Now, they're upgrading the whole system. So they've already migrated part of it to Java. And now they're going to migrate the latter 2/3 to Java. And to do so, they have to pause the application mechanism. But there is no delay in the application timeline. We usually go from 2 weeks of applying to 2 weeks of voting, and this cycle repeats. Right now, we're in the 2 weeks of applying, but you can't apply. But you will be able to apply within these 2 weeks. So if you have applications sitting, waiting to get them in, just keep an eye on these updates that are being pushed through, these Java updates, and you will be able to put in your proposal before the period ends. That is what's been reassured in the last tweet in this thread. So that's just Icon CPS, upgrading.
Cool. Okay. Then the next thing. Now, we won't spend too much time here. We have talked about this. So we saw this page pop up by the foundation that talked about various things, but there was one that broke down the various grants, which happens, one of them is CPS. The other one is the Icon Foundation grants. And it's funny. If you click on the grants, it takes you to the foundation's GitHub. But then under here, there's a link. And I don't know if people have noticed this. It's request for proposals. So I'm going to click on this. It loads a Notion page up. But essentially, and this is so good to see happening. If you hadn't already listened to Eric, who is one of the technical leads, the technical update he gives. So this is what he's been doing in the background to kind of like the chain. There's a whole lot of stuff that needs to be done. Icon Loop can't sit there doing everything. You know, the nature of blockchain is, and once the open source and stuff like that is, if you want to decentralize it, people contribute, right? Now, maybe this is my view entirely, David may agree, but obviously people just don't know what to start contributing, right? In general, like they may not be thinking strategically or just not understand what exactly is needed desperately by our ecosystem or for the chain or to onboard devs. So if they don't actually get some direction or just shown like this is the kind of the feature set we need, or this is where our areas of focus, do you have the skill set, can people do these things, then nothing gets done. So this is one of the things I love about this is they've created a whole bunch of like Java tutorials, all kinds of different things that need to be created. And this is around content, I believe, and more technical content. So it's like, Fez, David, we can do some videos. No, these are videos far beyond what we understand. But if you do know, they're called. What are they called again, David?
RFPs, request for proposals. and it's a concept that I didn't even know existed
No clue.
a while back. It's yeah, like you said, it's basically the foundation giving people hints. This, hey, if you can build this, that would be very helpful. And if you click them, they explain what the scope is, why this is helpful, and they ask you to put in a proposal. So tell us what you think you need. Tell us what you think how much time it will take, what kind of resources, and we can work something out. And ideally, 20 teams would come marching in now. They'd all pick up one. They'd write up proposals. Ideally, another 20 teams would come walking in, write up competing proposals, and then the best ones, they filter up and they do the work, and the ecosystem grows. And this is, I think, commonplace in the industry. It's always been there. It's just not been visible. And now with this push to like open sourcing production more and the processes, this has become visible. So it's the first time I'm seeing anything like it, and I'm like, wow, I wish I could do one of these. I wish I could build like a map of BTP network. Click that one. What does that say?
What? Okay, map of BTP network. Oh, talk about a long load. It doesn't like that, David. Oh, there we go.
Creating a tool for tracking the map of the BTP-enabled network.
So, purpose and scope, provide a tool to enable interface for tracking the network. API, no, out of our league. The second I see API, I'm like, oh, back off.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah,
overall, like, we joke, but there should be a ton of people who have that skill set to kind of go, oh, okay, this is what. Now, one thing though, if I was being a little critical, David, here is, if we know the type of work, it would be good to see some kind of range estimation expected. Like, I don't know, for me, like when I'm going to do some work, if I don't know an industry standard or what the rates are, stuff like that, it's very hard to scope what kind of cost, because I could go through the process of applying to do this and put down some ridiculous amount, and it gets rejected, and we've just lost an entire month because I just didn't know.
So like indication,
something like that. But yeah, look, this is great. I did not know this. This is one of the things. The reason why we wanted to close out the episode like this was, if you're validators, devs, or people listening, and you were wondering how to contribute or you wanted some paid work, essentially, here is a range of work that we need done for the chain. And yeah, get in there. And you know what? If you're not sure, I encourage you to get in there and then jump on Discord and actually tag like Eric, and he will answer some questions. If you're genuinely interested in putting something through and you needed more clarity and that did not give you the clarity you need, get in touch with him. I'm sure he'll love us for making sure people tag him directly. But no, definitely it's something you want to do. Do it and get a hold of Eric and have a chat to him and then kick off the process for the application.
Yeah. Wow. I think we did it, Fez.
We did it. 48 minutes. Well done. Okay. What else have we missed? Nothing. The only... Look, we are going to get Eric on the show. Actually, just trying to lock in. It's taken a little longer. Eric's ready, but I kind of wanted David on there as well when we get him on, so we both are there rather than just me doing the interview. And we're going to get him to talk through a lot of these changes and what exactly is happening in Icon from a technical perspective, because he has consistently now for 2 quarters been providing written articles, and doing AMAs. Technical updates, AMAs and Discord. But at the same time, I kind of wanted to make sure we are broadcasting that to the community, and in case any P-reps, validators and stuff that weren't aware all this was happening and do listen to the podcast, get that information as well. So hopefully in the next week or something, we should record it and have that episode drop as well on top of the weekly news. On top, not on top, added, the weekly news and that. 2 episodes a week is what I'm getting at. My God, I'm tired, David. The markets, they just smashed me today. It's just...
It is tiring. Like your Twitter feed refreshes at 10 times the rate. And I've read about 30 threads in the last couple of hours.
And then
take it to bed, wake up with it.
Exactly. And then while I'm reading the market carnage, I've got God of War sitting there, and I'm just like, I could take out some of this rage there, but it's too risky, David. I could get liquidated any second. No, I am not. I've not got any. I'm not.
You're lucky, aren't you? You're the only guy on the Southern Hemisphere who actually has a PS5.
Hey, yes, I lucked out. I went and registered at multiple outlets, and one day, funny story, David, one day I got a call. One of them said, your PS5's here, you can collect it. I'm like, awesome. I get another call on the same day from the other store in another town, your PS5's here as well. I'm like, oh my God, when it rains it pours. And then I got a third call, my Xbox had arrived at a store. Then I was faced with quite the conundrum.
I can imagine.
What to buy and what to tell my wife. Good times.
Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you. But yeah, look, actually, on that note, though, there are more PS5s. I've started to notice now stores, they're becoming readily available. In fact, a random store just had stock for a few days, which was unheard of. I can see you
biggest
Googling.
News of the day. This is the biggest news now. Right. Okay. Well, to everyone listening, anyone making it this far, thank you very much. Please note that none of this has been financial advice, has it?
Not at all.
Do your own research. We're just two guys up to no good talking about the thing they love most, which is bloody red markets in crypto at the moment. So thanks for listening, and bye.
Bye.